I thought I had seen everything with XRP until a routine quarterly report slapped me with a multi-billion-dollar wake-up call. Now, I'm talking stablecoins, real assets on the blockchain, and an XRP surge so wild that I nearly spilled my coffee. So, here's the scene. It's a lazy morning. I'm sipping coffee, scrolling through crypto news. Suddenly, I see a headline about XRP hitting multi-year highs and joining the world's top 100 assets by market cap. I was like, wait, what? And that kind of got my attention real quick. You know that kind of feeling when your kind of quiet old friend from college suddenly becomes a rock star and you're like, how did I not know about this? Well, that's me reading this report by Messari on the XRP ledger's second quarter of 2025. Now, I couldn't ignore it. I had to dig even deeper because if XRP's making moves this big, well, there's got to be a story behind it. And, oh boy, was there a story. So first off, XRP's price wasn't just inching upwards, it actually rocketed, right? By the end of Q2 2025, XRP was chilling at around $2.24. It was up about 7% from just 3 months earlier. And get this, in May it spiked to $2.65, and then by July it blasted to $3.66. $3.66. That's a level that we haven't seen in years. Now, I remember when XRP was under $1 and felt like forever. Seeing it near $3 again was kind of like a blast from the past. Its market cap had jumped to, I think it was like 180 to 200 or from $132 billion. Yeah, it was $132 billion at the end of Q2, then kept climbing up to about $216 billion in July before settling around $167 billion as we speak today. Now that briefly kind of put XRP in the top 100 most valuable assets on the planet. Not just the top 100 cryptos, no. Top 100 of all assets, rubbing shoulders with big companies. I had to double check that I wasn't, of course, daydreaming here. Now, despite that growth, something curious happened. Activity on the ledger actually slowed a bit. Average daily transactions dipped from around 2 million to about $1.6 million in Q2. And because XRP transaction fees are super tiny, we're talking fractions of a penny, the total fees collected fell from about $1.1 million to about $680,000. Now that might sound like a bit of a bummer, but here is the thing. XRP's ledger was never about raking in fee revenue. It's actually designed to be dirt cheap to use it. They burn a tiny, teeny bit of XRP each transaction, basically to prevent spam. Not to kind of make money like Ethereum's gas fees, right? So it's a slight drop in the transactions. Meh, not a huge deal, right? The network's humming along, and clearly people weren't deterred from holding XRP given that price surge. But the real eye-opener for me wasn't when I stumbled on XRP's ledger secret source. It was actually when I stumbled upon the secret source of the XRPL, I should say, which was at least of the quarter, and that's stablecoins and real-world assets. And yes, the XRPL isn't just about XRP tokens flying around. It turns out that it is becoming a hotspot for other assets. The star of the show, a dollar-pegged stablecoin called RLUSD, issued by Ripple itself. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't pay much attention or mind when RLUSD really launched back in 2024. I figured, it's just another stablecoin in an already stablecoin crowded world. Boy, was I wrong, at least to snooze on it, because in Q2, RLUSD's market cap on the XRP ledger shot up nearly 50%, hitting $66 million. Now that made it the biggest stablecoin on the XRPL, outpacing others on the ledger. Things really interesting. It's like RLUSD came out of nowhere and said, step aside, I've got this. And it wasn't just XRPL. On Ethereum, RLUSD went kind of parabolic too. The total RLUSD in circulation almost almost kind of doubled from around $200 million to nearly $390 million by the end of Q2 across the chains. Now, by now, just a few weeks after Q2, there's roughly $700 million worth of RLUSD out there. And yes, almost $1 billion worth of new stablecoins within months. I had to ask myself, how did I miss this? I hopped into my crypto Discord, shameless plug. We have a free educational Discord server. The link, of course, is in the description. And people were already talking about how RLUSD might challenge USDC, or at least carve out its own niche. Apparently, it was originally meant for enterprise users like banks and big players, but retail users like us kind of said, nah, we want in. And they've been hopping on board too. The takeaway is that XRP's ledger quietly grew its own stablecoin success story, while a lot of us were busy kind of watching other shiny objects. Plus, that RLUSD activity, it means more transactions on the ledger, which in a roundabout way uses more XRP. So even if it's just a tiny fee amount, right? A rising tide, it lifts all boats, as they say. And in this case, RLUSD might be lifting XRP's boat too. Now, that alone was enough to make me kind of rethink, how I view XRP's ecosystem. But then comes the plot twist: real-world assets, or RWAs, tokenized on the XRPL. Now, if you're not familiar, RWA means taking stuff from the real world. Think government bonds, real estate, maybe even stocks, and representing them as tokens on the blockchain. Now, I remember when that idea sounded like science fiction, but here it was in black and white in Q2. The total value of tokenized real-world assets on the XRP ledger jumped 13% to $131.6 million. Real money, real assets. Who's leading the charge? Well, it's a company called Montis Group, and they're basically a project born from Ripple teaming up with a regulated exchange called Archax. Now, Montis alone accounts for $55 million of those tokenized assets on the XRPL. And the second biggest player was something called RLUSD, which stands for ONDU Short-Term US Government Bonds Funds. Yes, basically a tokenized treasury bond fund with about $30 million on the XRPL. Yes, you heard that right. They're putting US treasury bonds, at least funds, on the XRP ledger. Now, as a finance geek, that blows my mind just a little. I mean, government bonds trading on the same ledger as your XRP memes and tip bots. It's wild times. Now, this highlights how XRPL is stepping up its game in the space, right? Called tokenization. And here is a crazy stat. Ripple, that's the company, projects that the tokenization market could reach an estimated $18.9 trillion by 2033. Trillion with a T. That number is so high that it sounds made up, right? But it actually came from a study with Boston Consulting Group, so they're pretty serious about it. So even big names like Matt Hogan, the guy from Bitwise, has chimed in here saying that XRP is one of the cleanest ways to get access or exposure to the rapidly growing sector. Now, I'm no fortune teller here, but if even a fraction of that $18 trillion ends up on networks like the XRPL, it could be a whole new ballgame for the value and utility of XRP. Now, my inner crypto cowboy, of course, started imagining the possibilities here, and maybe even calculating what a slither of $18 trillion could do to XRP's price. And that's kind of when I had to kind of catch myself and remember something rather important. This might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. It's important that you always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. So yeah, Tempering kind of my expectations here is kind of key, because still, the progress on the XRPL got me excited, not as a kind of get-rich-quick scheme, but because it actually signals real innovation. It's like watching the underdog sports team suddenly recruit star players. You can't help but cheer just a little bit. Now, the XRP ledger basically said, okay, we've got payments down, what's next? And Q2 answered, stablecoins, real assets, and even smart contracts. That's right, the XRPL entered the smart contract chat. How? Well, Ripple launched an Ethereum virtual machine, that's the EVM sidechain for the XRPL, on June 30th. Now, in plain English, they built a parallel highway alongside the main XRP ledger that lets you run Ethereum-like smart contracts and decentralized applications, then bridges back and forth to the main ledger. This is huge because for years XRP fans watched Ethereum have all the DeFi fun, and I remember when Ethereum people mocked XRP for not having smart contracts. Well, guess who just got an upgrade? Better late than never, right? Well, now the XRPL can say, hey devs, you can bring your Solidity apps over here too. Now, what's more, around the same time, Ripple partnered with a protocol called Wormhole to connect XRPL to its new EVM sidechain to, wait for it, over 35 other blockchains. 35. So that's basically the XRPL getting invited to the inter-blockchain party. Bitcoin, Solana, Polygon, you name it. XRPL can now mingle with them now through this Wormhole integration. Suddenly, the XRP ledger isn't an island anymore. It's like a major train station connecting to a bunch of other different lines. For users, it could mean moving assets between the XRPL and other chains more easily. For developers, it means, more reasons to build on the XRPL since it plays nice with the rest of the crypto world. And honestly, this multi-chain move gave me some serious Avengers Assemble kind of vibes. Like, all of these blockchains might actually work together instead of staying in their own silos. And as if that wasn't enough for Q1, the XRPL community also rolled out something called the XAO DAO. And it's basically a decentralized autonomous organization for the XRP ledger enthusiasts, a community-run group that can vote on initiatives and hand out grants to developers building cool stuff on the XRPL. Now, in other words, the community is taking some of the steering wheel too, not just Ripple the company. That's healthy for decentralization and for funding new ideas. And I love seeing that because it means that the ecosystem isn't just top-down, it's also bottom-up, with users saying, let's grow this thing together. By this point, I'm sitting there, right? Mind kind of blown at how much changed in just 3 months. I think about it this way, right? XRP's price and the market cap surged. A narrative, I should say a native kind of stablecoin, RLUSD, blossomed. Real-world assets found a new home on the ledger. And the XRPL got a whole new smart contract sidechain and connections to 35 other networks. That's a heck of a grow-up, kind of a glow-up for a quarter of a year, right? And I guess to think that a lot of people still saw XRP as that kind of old guy in the crypto club, the one that maybe doesn't change. Well, consider me corrected here, because XRPL is innovating and it's doing it fast. Now, I won't pretend that XRPL is perfect or guarantee anything about its future. Remember the disclaimer earlier. Crypto is still the Wild West, and I've seen coins rise and fall overnight. So I'm not throwing caution out of the window here, but I will say this. After reading the kind of report and seeing all of these developments, I feel a renewed respect for the XRP ledger, right? I've been around the crypto block a few times, and you might even recall me as a seasoned investor, or maybe just a stubborn one, right? And it's not often that a project that's been around this long still manages to surprise me in a good way. XRP did that in Q2 of 2025. It showed that it can adapt and expand beyond just being the bank transfer coin. It kind of is dabbling in cutting-edge stuff, and apparently it's succeeding. So what's next then? Personally, I'm keeping a close eye on how these tokenization projects evolve and whether RLUSD keeps growing. Now, I might even experiment with using some RLUSD or tokenized assets via an exchange that I trust. And if you're curious, then I sometimes use BitGet for these kinds of things. The link, of course, in the description if you want to go ahead and check it out. Now, that is an affiliate link, by the way, which helps support the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. You've got to keep things transparent. Now, whether you use that or not, always make sure that you use a reputable platform and understand the risks. Hopefully you're okay with that. Now, ultimately, this whole adventure has taught me something that, that's important. Don't sleep on the old crypto projects because they just might reinvent themselves when you least expect it. And if you had to ask me a while back, I might have joked that XRP's most exciting days were maybe behind them. Now, I'm not so sure. It feels like XRP's ledger is entering a new era, and I'm kind of here for it. All right, so that's my 2 cents then on this wild XRP ledger quarter. What do you think? Did any of these developments surprise you as much as maybe they surprised me? Let me know in the comments down below or in the free Discord server. I'd love to hear your take on all of this. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more crypto adventures, and I'll catch you all in the next one.